Imagine your sketchy best bro suddenly turns into a bombshell babe with curves in all the right places. What would you do? On a night lashed by torrential rain, Hyun-gu stumbles upon a damsel in distress, slumped unconscious by the roadside. Hyun-gu tried to wake her up, but it was like shaking a cocktail the lady wasn't coming to. With no other choice, Hyun-gu hoisted the girl on his back and took her home, both drenched from the storm. Hyun-gu changed into dry clothes first, then, he grabbed a towel and started drying off the girl. For Hyun-gu, a single man for 30 years, this was his first up-close encounter with a woman. Her delicate frame, her ivory legs, what man wouldn't drool over that sight? But Hyun-gu was a decent guy. He looked away after seeing what he shouldn't have. Just then, a thunderclap scared him stiff, and upon checking, he realized the girl wasn't breathing anymore. Instinctively, Hyun-gu thought to call the police, but then, how would he explain himself? What if he ended up being branded a creep on the front page? How could he face anyone after that? Maybe it was best to just return her to where she came from, but alas, Hyun-gu's chronic habit of self-pleasure left him weak and vulnerable. Waking up again, Hyun-gu feels something has drastically changed, sporting a mane of flowing hair and unable to see their feet when looking down. What's happening? Have I turned into a woman? Glancing beside them, they shockingly find their own body lying on the ground. Just then, Mansuk returns home, finding Hyun-gu's motionless body, and chillingly realizes it's cold to the touch. Jumping to conclusions, he accuses the mysterious woman, Hyun-gu, of murder, vowing revenge. Hyun-gu, in a bid to defend themselves, slaps Mansuk, leaving him dumbfounded. Murder and still so brazen? Is there no justice? Hyun-gu then tries to explain the bizarre situation to Mansuk, claiming, "I am Hyun-gu, and Hyun-gu is me." Mansuk, skeptical, responds, "So you're telling me ghost stories now? I may have failed the bar exam 8 times, but I'm no fool." Left with no choice, Hyun-gu reveals secrets only the two of them knew, convincing Mansuk that this alluring woman is indeed his buddy. Hyun-gu,
너 엄마한테 말 못하겠다는 거 내가 비뇨기과 같이 가줬다. 너 임마 재수술해서 거기 커졌다고 존나 좋아했잖아. 아, 하나 더.
once the misunderstanding is cleared up, they scour the internet for solutions, either getting hit by a car, engaging in intimate acts, or the slightly more credible method of getting struck by lightning. Thus, Hyun-gu stands with a lightning rod in hand, over their own body, attempting a spell to restore their soul. Yet the night's downpour brings no lightning. Watching Hyun-gu casually bathe with the door open, Mansuk starts to think that maybe staying this way wouldn't be so bad after all. The next day, he drags Hyun-gu to the mall for a major makeover, generously footing the bill for an array of women's clothing. Despite trying on countless outfits, Hyun-gu seems less than thrilled with the options until they slip into a pink ensemble that instantly mesmerizes Mansuk. With a seductive smile from his buddy, Mansuk happily swipes his card to finalize the purchase. Then, they venture into a dimly lit basement, where, according to Mansuk, a semi-divine being resides.
에휴 형님들이 왔어 홍철이가 왔어.
Hyun-gu is skeptical, deeming the seer a bit off-kilter and untrustworthy at first glance. However, the seer's serious demeanor upon hearing their doubts hints at genuine capabilities. The proposed solution for their predicament is an ancient ritual of yin and yang union. Mansuk, eager to deepen their decades-long friendship in any way possible, volunteers himself for the task.
너 같은 남북군한테 바치다니.
그래서 계속 이렇게 쭉 살래? 한 번이면 돼.
But as he approaches with puckered lips, Hyun-gu is immediately repulsed, knocking him down with a knee thrust, utterly refusing to go through with it. Thus, they're back to square one, needing to find another way. Mansuk urges Hyun-gu to meticulously recall the events of that day to see if anything was overlooked. Indeed, Hyun-gu remembers a crucial detail, an accidental kiss initiated as the lady fell towards him. Without hesitation, they decide to replicate the incident. However, the sight of his own unappealing face makes Hyun-gu hesitant to proceed. Eventually, under Mansuk's coercion, he bravely goes through with the kiss, which miraculously works. His buddy is back. The two embrace, overwhelmed with joy, believing life would now return to normal. However, due to Hyun-gu's timid nature, he faces constant ridicule from his colleagues. At a company outing to a bar, the snide remarks from a male colleague become too much.
사람 많은 데서 뭐 이거 되겠어요 이거?
Hyun-gu decides to switch back to the lady's body and, with Mansuk in tow, heads out to stir things up. Leveraging the allure of his temporary form, Hyungu quickly becomes the center of attention. With eyes fixed on the mocking colleague, Hyungu sashays over with seductive grace, ensnaring the man with flirtatious gestures, leaving him utterly bewitched. In that moment, the man feels on top of the world, convinced he's the most handsome guy in the room. Unaware of the true identity of his enchantress, Hyungu's exuberant charm draws the attention of many suitors, but he dismisses them all, fixated only on his goddess, Soo-hyun. To his dismay, he turns to see Soo-hyun being swept off her feet by Mansuk, igniting a flurry of jealousy. But soon, a cunning idea strikes him. Mansuk, haven't you always wanted to be a lawyer? How about a trade? You use my body to litigate, and I'll use yours to woo Soo-hyun. Mansuk is momentarily stunned by the proposition but finds himself intrigued. Thus, the two naturally gravitate towards each other, ready to switch bodies. However, despite their efforts, nothing happens, leaving them to wonder if they've got the procedure wrong. Their attention shifts to a nearby lady. Hyungu, mustering all his courage, kisses her, and in the next second, his soul is whisked into her body. Just one more kiss with Mansuk, and he'd be able to use Mansuk's body to charm Soo-hyun. Indeed, leveraging Mansuk's handsome appearance, Hyungu successfully spends an entire day dating Soo-hyun, culminating in a visit to a hotel. Meanwhile, Mansuk, now in Hyungu's body, thrives in the law firm, utilizing the knowledge from 8 bar exams. He wins case after case, quickly notching up a 6-case winning streak when a high-profile divorce case against a philandering billionaire with no slip-ups comes his way. The stakes are high. Winning could net their client a massive fortune and a hefty attorney's fee for themselves. Mansuk, ever resourceful, figures transforming into the lady again would make gathering evidence against the billionaire a cinch. The next day, Mansuk, with the lady's body, calls the billionaire and charms him effortlessly at his hotel. True to form, a man knows a man best. When the billionaire was showering, Mansuk seized the opportunity to steal his ID and phone, elated with his successful scheme. However, upon returning to the parking lot, he was stunned to discover Hyungu's body had vanished. A panicked inquiry reveals a well-meaning janitor had found the body and called the police. It was now in the morgue, likely being prepared for cremation. In a frenzy, Mansuk contacts Hyungu, and they rush to retrieve the body, frozen stiff by now. In a frantic rush, the two dash to the morgue to retrieve the body, only to find it already frozen stiff. Hyungu signals Mansuk, who distracts a doctor with a request for warm water, leaving the room unguarded. The doctor, being a genuinely kind person, unsuspectingly stepped out. Then, hearing a noise behind him and turning back, he was met with the sight of the corpse not only alive but also politely greeting him. Terrified in an instant, the doctor collapsed to the floor, frozen in shock, as he watched them make their escape with the body. Back home, fearing future disasters with the lady's body, they decide it's best to part ways with it, dumping it at a bus station seat, hoping for no further trouble. However, an elderly lady, seeing the young woman asleep at the station, attempts to wake her, only to fall herself. And so, our tale takes another turn, to be continued. In a twist of fate, he got knocked out cold by the very girl he was trying to save.